Hello everybody, and welcome back to Angelus Mortem Productions, ran by a guy with shitty taste and way too much time. In the last episode of Canadian Crypts, the series where I go over underground gems, forgotten bands and labels, and generally stuff in Canada that deserves the infinite hails, we talked about the almighty powerhouse that is Aquila. But at the end of that video, I also mentioned CDN Records, which helped distribute their debut album, Imperial. And I would be absolutely stupid not to talk about CDN Records more in depth, because they are one of the most important labels in Canada, and definitely the most important label in Southern Ontario. They're responsible for releasing stuff from all over the world, locally, and they've just been huge supporters of our scene, and they have an undying passion for extreme music. So today, I'm gonna go over not one, not five, not even 10, I'm gonna go over 12 CDs for you guys, and these are all from CDN Records. Hopefully this paints a good picture of what kind of label they are. Now in part 1, which you're watching right now, I'm going to be going over the 9 releases that I have purchased over time, just things that are in my own collection that I bought with my own money. And then the other 3 are going to be brand new releases. 2 of them aren't even released yet, but these are albums that CDN just came out with, and I really just wanted to showcase those for you guys so you really know what they're all about, and that they're releasing some of the most awesome metal that we're gonna hear all year. And one of these might just be in my top 5 for the whole year, because it's that good. So let's go, CDN Records, so pumped, roll the intro. So before we even start getting into actual CDs, I just want to give a quick disclaimer. I'm the kind of person that believes in transparency and honesty, and you will not find any bullshit from me on this channel. I do want to admit that I have been running promotions and creating newsletters for CDN Records since they released the Grotesque Infection compilation. I just want to say this because I think it's the right thing to do, and I don't want people believing that there's some kind of like unfair bias here, that this video is sponsored or whatever. This isn't a part of some kind of elaborate promotional campaign. I'm just doing this out of my own personal passion for this label. And if that were the case, actually, I would have to be overly positive and say that everything is awesome. And there is one album in the 9 I'm about to show you that I don't like at all. So just with that out of the way, let's talk about some anal bleeding. No, that's not a bad joke or whatever, not a meme. These guys are actually called Anal Bleeding. These guys hail from Quebec and have been around between the years of 2000 and 2006, and they haven't released a lot of material, only 2 demos and the debut album, 2 cogs in the same hole. Now this album isn't anything really all that surprising. You're not gonna find tons of innovative ideas on here, but what you get is an uncompromising, crushing, and satisfying brutal death metal experience. Within the 8 tracks here, you will find yourself headbanging to the most raw and crushing brutal death metal infused with slam that you will find in Canada, and this is truly one of those hidden gems that you kind of stumble upon by accident and then listen to it because of the name and realize that it's actually pretty damn good. Now, I wish I could actually recommend some individual tracks for you guys to listen to, just to demonstrate this album's quality, but I really can't because all of the songs kind of mold into this one runtime, but I can read off a few titles. Sperm Overdose, Festering Colonic Secretion, Oxidized Tampon Fumes. Oh my god, why do I do this to myself? The record is short, clocking in at only about half an hour, but it doesn't really matter because it's actually shorter because half of this is porn audio. Warning, this album just got rated X for XXX content. Please click away from this video now. 18 or under. Warning. Yeah, if you can can get over the invasive sexual overtones on this album, you can actually get some enjoyment out of it. I do pop this in every once in a while. Also keep in mind, this was in 2002 when Two Cocks in the Same Hole came out, and they kind of hopped on the slam trend a little bit early. Not a lot of bands were doing that back in the day. And another fun fact, the vocals on this album are apparently completely unedited and raw with no effects on them. A fact that I am fully willing to believe. The next album is actually less on the goofy side, and they are from my hometown of Windsor. That's right, I am talking about Assassinate the Following. Go! Assassinate the Following came out in line with the early 2000s metalcore and groove metal trend, but they opted for a more melodic and progressive death metal sound infused with their music. Massacre of the North is their debut and sadly their only album, as they really haven't put out much besides this and an EP from earlier. And I have to say that this album has a lot of thought and creativity put behind it. Clearly these guys were very keen on making this an emotionally, epically charged experience for all of us to enjoy. There's a lot of pluses on this album. There's tons of very interesting song structures, melodic riffing all over the place, chunky breakdowns, and the vocals are very varied as well. You have highs, you have gutturals, you have gang shouting, there's even some clean singing that actually works out to be pretty good. Overall, the songs themselves have tons of twists and turns to keep you captivated and make for a very enjoyable experience. So if you can find Massacre of the North somewhere, it might even be still up on the CDN Records shop, I would highly recommend you pick it up because this is truly one of Windsor's best. Now, let's move 2 hours north of Windsor to London, Ontario, and explore the beauty of Battlesoul. Usually CDN releases a lot of brutal death metal and slam and things in that kind of caliber, but Battlesoul is actually kind of in a genre of their own. In 2010, they released their first album, Lay Down Thy Burdens, which was a good start, but for me it was a little bit of a monotonous release, not a lot to really enjoy out of that one. However, in 2013, they came back full force with an album titled Tir Na Nog, and that is this one right here. Now what makes this album so special? Well, it's got 15 tracks on it, and you might kind of be thinking, Jesus, that's a long ass album. And it is, but none of it feels long-winded, and each track, in my opinion, serves its purpose. This style of music is a little bit hard to describe for me, and like I said, Battlesoul is in a sort of genre of their own. There's elements of this that kind of remind me of like Nightwish a little bit, with like the symphonic metal sound. There's tons of epic metal. Is that even a genre? Isn't all metal supposed to be epic? Fuck it. There's just a lot of influences going on at once, and at the end of the day, it's easier to just forget about putting a band in a box and enjoy what you're listening through the speakers. And all the songs on here are awesome. There's soft moments with some acoustic and folk elements thrown in there. Then there's like epic, like brutal bangers on this album. Overall, this is a great record to have, and I would really recommend you check this out. However, the album that I am most excited to talk about is their 2015 album, their third album, Sunward and Starward. I love this album so much. I'm not even trying to suck any dick here. Like, this is generally one of my favorite records of all time, and I am proud to live only 2 hours away from where this was conceived. And there are songs on here that I play pretty much, I don't know, at least a few times a week, and I've had this CD for over a year. Sunward and Starward begins with the song All I Understand, and it has some atmospheric black metal instrumentation right from the beginning. And then you're kind of thinking, you know, why is this atmospheric black metal album so well produced and clean? And then you realize what's going on here, because Battlesoul takes a complete turn and reverses all your expectations that you heard from the first 5 seconds and does this. Did you hear that? Oh no? Oh no, you're in an epic metal coma? Okay, how about we play it again? One more time. You seriously cannot tell me that that's not addicting like crack. Like honestly, I can't get enough of that song. And that kind of seems to be the trend on Sunward and Starward. Battlesoul continues to put out banger after banger after banger. All the songs on here have their own identity, and I have to say that just in general, it cranks up the brutality to the max. The production is a lot more crushing and it's punishing to the ear, and I just enjoy the fuck out of Sunward and Starward. Alright, and the next album is also from Windsor, and this one stands out for being one of Windsor's only brutal death metal bands, a genre that is not really that prevalent around here. And currently I think Eternal Confinement is taking the reins on the genre, but before Joel started jumping onto speakers, we had Corprophemia. These guys date back all the way to 2006 and have been around up to 2016 as far as I'm aware, but I'm pretty sure they didn't put out as much material as they initially wanted to. Their first album, Arrived in Pieces, came out in 2007, and this is just a straight up bare bones, to the point, assault in your face, brutal death metal record. Tons of speed, ferocity, chunky riffs. Really, there's no interludes or bullshit on this album. It's just overall a fucking onslaught. The instrumentation is technical, the vocals are pretty good, and this is just a solid start for a band to lay their sound upon and then expand on it further. But then we waited. While we were waiting, brutal death metal had changed. Bands were incorporating slam elements more than ever, and the music became a lot more technical, sometimes even melodic, and the production in general had become a lot more cleaner and crushing. Now, of course, that's not to say there's bands that fall back into the old styles and make great records, but the general consensus of the genre had been shifted. So in 2014, when Corprophemia released their second album, Abhorrogenesis, it kind of raised some red flags for me. Now, this album isn't bad because it's sloppy or that they didn't really care. I think the problem that Abhorrogenesis has is a general lack of direction and a lack of confidence in the songs that they were making. The mixing just sounds strange. I don't know about the production. It's like a weird middle ground between modern and clean and then also raw and old school. There's like a general uncertainty to how they wanted this to sound, and overall it just becomes very grating. The songs are also extremely messy. I couldn't find a single theme or trope in this album. It sounds like they just kind of conceived riffs and drum patterns and laid vocals on top of them without really a lot of thought put into it. Everything bounces all over the place and you really have no idea what the message is here, what you're supposed to be absorbing from this album. It just kind of happens and then it whisks away in the wind and you're just like, what was that? Where did my time go? What happened? Overall, the record is simply just dull, and I'm not really sure what has happened with this mix. And I think I'm right here because Corprophemia hadn't released an album since. The only material we got from them was a split called Quintessentials of Brutality Volume 1, also put out by CDN, of course, and it features some pretty cool bands: Gape, Cuff, Urethral Injection, and Infected Cadaver. But honestly, there's really nothing to write home about here from Corprophemia. I actually think Corprophemia is the weakest out of the 5 on this one. I know it might sound like I'm bashing them too harshly here, and I would still really recommend the Arrived in Pieces album because it's a phenomenal record, but I just think that whatever was going on in the songwriting area and, you know, when these guys came together, they just didn't really have a solid idea for how to continue the band, and it has been on hiatus ever since. The following band is also from Windsor, and it is one of our first and only black metal projects, Hell Is Other People. generally a pretty flat place. Like, I mean, literally, it's geographically one of the flattest cities in Canada. Not a lot of big hills and snowy mountains and, you know, dense forests to roam through. So a cold, harsh Norwegian-style black metal project wouldn't really work here. I mean, I guess you could do it if you wanted to, but I think that Hell's Other People did the right thing by opting for a more post-black metal sound infused with a healthy dose of depressive black metal, also known as sad boy metal. Their debut album right here was released in 2017. It is titled Embrace. It only features 4 songs, but each of the 4 is pretty lengthy, and the whole thing reaches up to a 37-minute runtime. Hell's Other People's sound is pretty damn good. Brandon Gruber, the vocalist, just shrieks over these tremolo guitars that are wailing and soaring all over the place, and then you have cymbals crashing all over, and the whole thing just kind of wraps around you, you know? It's a comforting, numbing kind of sound. I really like it. The songs are long, but do not feel long-winded. Every element in the music is there for a reason, and I would say that Embrace is a big step up from their 2015 EP. Since Embrace, Hell's Other People has only put out some more material on a split done with a Russian band known as My Lonely Sea, which is also pretty damn good. CDN Records doesn't usually mess with a lot of black metal, but this just shows that they are willing to support local no matter what, and I think that's awesome. So check out Embrace by Hell's Other People. And finally, we arrive to the last band. This is Viledriver. How do I even do this justice? Viledriver is from the Toronto area, and their only output so far is this album right here from 2017, titled Primary. There's literally no compromises here. Viledriver just absolutely assaults you with a technical death metal frenzy that never leaves you alone, and at the end of its 26-minute runtime, leaves you in a bloody mess of bodily fluids. Now, I know that sounds kind of disgusting, but I'm just saying that the whole atmosphere and tone on this album is completely insane. It's insane. The riffs are layered with strange time signatures, and they bounce all over. There's drumming that is just, it just sounds like this tight unit, like a mechanical machine that short-circuited and just, it's fucking crazy. Like, I know it kind of cringe description, but I'm just saying, it's nuts. The vocals are also very good. We have tons of highs and gutturals thrown in there, and the whole thing is a devastating experience. I really have to highlight songs like Embedded in Stone and Flea Marked. These are great examples of it. Also, I would have to say that the true magic of Viledriver, other than Primary, is actually seeing them live. See, the thing is with Viledriver, when you see them live, it makes you not want to play an instrument ever again because of how good they are, especially the drummer. I mean, I'm more drum inclined personally, I'm not a string person, but when you see Aaron Poser, I don't want to call him Poser if that's not how you say his name. When you see Aaron drum, you won't want to pick up sticks ever again because he's just that insane. Technicality on this album is so insane that I audibly said, "Oh my god," a few times while listening to it because of the astonishment I was experiencing. But that's kind of Viledriver's main appeal, and what I like about this album is that it sounds organic. I feel like a lot of technical death metal bands try to overcompensate with all these mechanically sounding riffs and a production that's just really flat and trying to be something that it isn't, and overall the music just kind of amounts to nothing. But the organic tone on Primary really serves as a great demonstration on how to make tech death, and if you're going to check out any band from this list, I would really recommend Viledriver. And that is all for today, ladies and gentlemen. All of the links for the bands and of course CDN Records will be posted down below in the description. Check them out. Go support them. Please, they deserve it. In part 2 of this video, we are going to be going over 3 new releases, and I'm gonna tell you right now what they're gonna be. We have Pariah Attestant from Bleeding Spawn. We have Prodigy of the Grotesque from Goreworm. And we have Hymns of the Gods Below by the mighty US outfit Insane. I'm really excited to talk about those records, and that is going to be in part 2 of Canadian Crypts and CDN Records, this video right here that you're watching right now. Also, I have a Facebook page that you can tune into for more up-to-date updates, and you can go follow that. And please like and share this video and leave a comment or do whatever you want with it, because I do really actually want to reach more people with these videos so they can truly check out some of the music that I am trying to recommend here. Overall, I hope you're staying healthy and have a fantastic day. Support bands and become fans. Hails.